Hello, welcome back everybody. Today's video is I'm just going to kind of unload different things that I'm thinking about and different things that happened. I have a lot and I'm just going to go where the voice inside my head takes me. So anyways, to begin, I've been working on the Sabbath like we talked about before, and last week I I had what I would consider my first successful Sabbath. The week before that, I was kind of debating what counts as work. Like for me, if I make gaming content, is that work? And what it came to me was it is if I make content. Like playing a game for me is not really work. I enjoy playing games. I would do it in my free time anyways. But if I'm doing it for work purposes, if I'm doing it to make content for other people or I'm monetizing it in some way, then that would count as work and I shouldn't do that on the Sabbath. But I kind of, interacted with God, and what it came down to was yesterday there was a tournament this weekend, and I ended up taking second, but the finals were yesterday. So I was kind of debating, should I play or should I not? And what I decided is what I just explained is, okay, I'm not going to make any content. I'm not going to record it. I'm not going to stream. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. And I'm just going to play it, for my own enjoyment. And I did that. And it was a very blessed day. It was lucky, everything. Got second, even made some money. But money in this case, and the reason I even mentioned the money is, one, before going into it, I said if I win anything, then I'll give it away, right? Like I'll donate it. So I won't keep the money for myself personally. And two is when I looked inside my own heart, I wasn't competing for money and I wasn't competing for gain or anything. It was just something fun for me to do as a challenge. So I think my results are God's support of my decision, and that's kind of something I want to highlight. Is a lot of my interactions are when I'm reading the Bible and things are confusing to me, there's a couple things I do. One very simple thing is I've been doing is asking for a sign. And the sign I use is very, very simple. It's even or odd. Okay, so I'll have a choice and I'll just say even or odd. To me, odd means yes, do it. Even means no. And all I do to get the even or odd is I look at the clock. I look at what time it is when I look at the clock. So like right now it's 9:37, which is odd. So if I was asking God a question and I looked at the clock, it would be a yes to whatever question I was asking. And that is very simple. And I know it may seem kind of like crazy that I'm making decisions off of this, but it's worked very, very well for me. And I had been doing this before in my life before I started reading the Bible, but now that I'm reading it, I like it even more. And the reason why is throughout the Old Testament, there's been tons of times that the kings and different prophets, they're asking for signs from God. So it's not actually something that's bad. And I think it's something that God does encourage is for you to ask for signs. All of our signs don't need to be the same. You can try to make difficult signs if you want. To me, I don't really need it. To me, that simple one is something that I have faith in, and I stick to the decision. I think what's important is my heart. My heart, my logical stance when I do that is I'm truly treating that as God saying. So I don't go against it at all. Like if I ask a question and I do the even or odds, I stick to the answer no matter what. And if I don't stick to the answer, like I know I'm violating God's rule or what God's telling me to do. So I mean, that's another thing is I would say don't do it wishy-washy. Don't do it like, oh, give me this sign, and if you don't give me the answer I want, I'm just gonna, we'll just act like this whole sign business doesn't work. So I don't treat it that way. I treat it very seriously. And yeah, anyways, it's been working for me. I feel better connection. If I look at my life, we talked about things getting more and more blessed. And for me, things are definitely getting more and more blessed, right? Another thing based on the Sabbath I want to bring up is I started streaming on Nemo, and my audience had been really small. Like I've only been getting maybe like 2 people. I think I was averaging 2 people, right? Which is almost nothing. And so Saturday came around and I streamed and I knew I was going to Sabbath, and I ended up, I think my peak was like 17 people, but I think my average was still about 10 people the whole time, right? And chatters for me are important, and I got my chatting up way, way up. Like my chatting went up probably 20-fold, something like that. So the reason I bring this up is because, once again, on the Sabbath, the thing is, God tells us, is you'll produce 2 times as much, like on Saturday or the day before the Sabbath, to make up for everything on the Sabbath. And actually, you'll produce not even just 2 times on the day before the Sabbath, but you'll produce abundance, more than enough to cover the Sabbath, the day that you're taking for rest. So it's crazy that I went into that and I said, hey, I'm not gonna work on the Sabbath, I'm not gonna create content, and I'm not gonna stream. And then on Saturday, just boom, like my channel, everything just went well for me. So that's some other things, because and I'm just going through all these things just to kind of explain my journey, right? Like explain how I'm starting to see God's impact and be thankful for these blessings, because yeah, being grateful for the blessings is a huge thing, and I'm trying my best to do that. So okay, so that's my personal life stuff kind of out of the way. Now I want to shift to today's reading. Today I finished 2 Kings, and there's something I'm struggling with inside myself, and I'm thinking about, and it is, God seems to not reward, but he seems to intentionally leave evil in the world and let evil have high status, power, accumulation, long lives. He lets evil prosper. And I'm asking myself, why is it that God is allowing evil to prosper? And the greatest example I can give is there's 2 kings, Manasseh and Josiah. Okay, so Manasseh, he takes over king when he's 12 years old. He rules for 55 years, which is pretty insane at this point. So he rules for 55 years and is extremely evil and corrupt. Like, he's probably the worst king that I have come across in the Bible so far, right? He human sacrifices. I think he sacrifices his own son. He sets up tons of idol worshiping. He's like, just anything you could possibly do to piss off God, he's doing, right? He's even starting to just kill innocent people and spread blood throughout Israel. Like, he is so displeasing to the Lord, yet he dies basically of old age, and he rules for 55 years. So there's that. Okay, now let's contrast him to a couple generations down the line. The king named Josiah takes over, and Josiah, I believe, only rules 18 years, which is still long, but it's nothing compared to 55. And the thing is, Josiah rediscovers the Lord's rules, right? A priest during his reign discovers the rules. Josiah reads through the rules. He's like, oh my God, we're not doing, like, wow, we are so sinful. We're not doing any of this. Like, a lot of this we're not doing. Like, God has to be seriously pissed off at us. And he reforms everything. He tears down all the other idols. He looks at that document and just goes with it, right? And even in the Bible, it even says, like, he is the most, actually, let me read the exact words real quick. He is the most following. I should have prepared this, so give me 1 second, and okay, here we go. It's in 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 25. And this is in regards to Josiah. Never before had there been a king like Josiah, who turned to the Lord with all his heart and soul and strength, obeying all the laws Moses, and has never been and there has never been a king like him since. I mean, that's like what God has wanted this whole time, ever since Exodus, is just somebody to just listen and follow, right? And Josiah does this, but then he only rules 18 years, and then he's killed in battle to pagans, to Egyptians. He dies in battle to an Egyptian pharaoh, right? So that's what I mean by, if you're somebody living back then, right, and you were under these rules, you see one king, and he does all these evil things. He worships all these different gods. He's killing innocent people. All these things that God tells us is wrong and bad and displeasing. He does all these things, but then you see him stay in power for 55 years. You see him die peacefully and happily in old age. And then you contrast and you look at this other king, and this other king, he rules 18 years, dies in battle. He does everything the Lord says, which piss people off. Like, I guarantee when he's tearing down all these idols and things, you have to like put yourself in that place that they were probably in back then. It's like, imagine US president just starts like burning down churches, and right, he's getting rid of anything that's not Christian or something like that. I mean, that's extreme. Well, actually no, it's not extreme, because that's like what this dude was doing, right? Like just cleansing everything that it was not in accordance with God's law. So I mean, people had to be super upset with him, and then you look, and then he dies in battle. And up to this point throughout the Old Testament, I mean, a lot of the stuff is God protects his chosen ones. He protects his prophets, right? They win wars and battles that they should never win. So it's just crazy to me that this guy who's just followed God's laws the most ends up dying in battle. So do I think this is a mistake on God? Absolutely not. But what this tells me is I'm missing something. There's some understanding that I'm missing, because it doesn't make sense. And God obviously knows a lot better than me. So God is seeing something. There's something that I'm not seeing that is there. And my best guess is I think God allows evil to prosper, and he intentionally allows evil to prosper. And the reason why is because he wants to separate the truly faithful from the conditionally faithful. And what I mean by that is, conditionally faithful are people who are faithful when it suits them, when they're getting gain, when they're benefiting, right? They're faithful because it blesses their life, versus people who are faithful because they truly believe in God and they want to please God. And they don't really care about the blessings. They don't really care about the curses. All they care about is being pleasing to God. I kind of feel like there's something in there about that I need to process more. But anyways, that is going to do it for today. I mean, this is already a little bit longer, and I kind of talked about it. But I would love to get some other people's feedback on this. Like, where do you stand on why does God allow evil to prosper? I don't think evil prospering is really debatable. I think it's pretty easy for me to find many examples of where evil people not following God's commandments, are prospering in the Bible. So I don't think that's debatable. So the question then becomes is, why is it that God allows that? So anyways, I hope you all enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed making the video, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.